Hello and welcome to this latest lesson in the Year 8 Digital Graphics series of work. Before we start, the image that you are seeing on your screen, the sort of Christmas card type scene, has actually been created from a picture or from a number of pictures of sandcastles on a beach. That original image has been edited massively in Photoshop to create what looks to be a Christmas scene and a Christmas castle. Could you have a think about the sorts of tools that have maybe been used here from the work you did in the last two lessons, and just briefly outline the sorts of tools that you think might have been utilised to turn, for example, the colours from yellow to something else, and to create things like the snowflakes in the sky. Pause the video at this point and give yourself a couple of minutes to think of as many different tools that you think may have been used as you can. So as I said, this is lesson number 5 in the Year 8 Digital Graphics series of work, and today we're going to be reflecting on a number of different key image editing tools that you either have used in the previous lessons or may go and have a look at online. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to name a number of key image editing tools used within common image editing software, and you'll be able to outline the uses of each of those tools in your book. So, pause the video at this point. Are you able to outline what the following tools might do? The Place Image tool or Insert Image, the Magic Eraser, the Text tool, the Blur Brush, and the Smudge Brush. Okay, now have a think about what each of those might do, and it might be that you jump online and have just a little bit of research around those tools. Now this is tough because some of you have been using Photoshop, some of you have been using Photopea, and a couple of you might have even used PowerPoint. So those tools might have just slightly different names depending on the image editing software you are using. But pause the video at this point, give yourself another 5 minutes or so to outline what each of those tools might do. So during today's lesson, we're going to be working to create something like the example shown on your screens now in our books. We're going to outline a number of key tools, and we're going to show how we've utilised those within our digital graphic. Now, it might be that you print those in the way that this person has done, or it might be that you draw those tools in your book. It doesn't really matter. Okay, so just keep this in mind. You don't need to do this at the moment, but as we go through the various activities today, this is what we're aiming for. We're aiming for a number of different tools spaced out across a double page in our book, and those then fully explained. So to start with, we're going to pick between 4 and 6 tools that you've used in Photoshop or whichever image editing application you've been using, and we're going to draw those in our books. Okay, and we're going to draw out the image icon and possibly an example of what that tool might do. So if the tool were going to blur something, we might draw the icon and then underneath that just a basic diagram to show it blurring our image. If it was going to erase a certain colour, again, we might sort of draw that and show that in our books. Now, as you'll have seen in the previous example, it's really important that we space those out so that we've got space for our writing when we come to do that in the next activity. So, pause the video at this point. I'd like you to pick between 4 and 6 image editing tools that you think you know about, or you can research online, or that you've used last lesson. I'd like you to draw out the symbol or the icon for each one, but spaced out within our book. You might also draw an example of the sort of thing that tool might do or the problems that that tool might be able to fix. Look at the example on the previous slide to remind you sort of how you might space those out across a double page. Give yourself 10 minutes for this activity. Please pause the video now. So now we're at the sort of the bulk of the activity, which is going to take pretty much the rest of the lesson. Okay, we're going to look to write a basic outline of what each tool does next to the icon. Now it might be that you can include within that the advantages and the disadvantages of each tool, and you could explain how you've used that over the last couple of lessons. So if I were looking at the Magic Eraser, I know that the Magic Eraser removes a certain colour from my image. That's really useful, for example, for removing a white background from a picture of a football that I want to place onto a football pitch. It wouldn't look very realistic if the football had a white box around its outside. Now the advantage of that is that we can very quickly and very easily remove single colours from our image. A disadvantage is that it doesn't always work. If our background sort of was white fading to grey, maybe in one corner because of the shadow of the ball, the magic eraser might get slightly confused and it might not remove the ball shadow, or it might remove part of it and it might not look perfect. So there's a definite disadvantage there. In that example, you'd write a decent paragraph next to your icon of the magic eraser and you'd explain as many of those things as you can. Now in a second I will show you the example, and that's what we're working towards for the end of this lesson. This lesson is a very short one in terms of the video lesson, and you've now got the next sort of 40 minutes or so to try and complete your work. Pause the video at this point if you'd like to keep the activity slide up, or in another second or so I will put the example work on your screen and you can keep that up while you're working. So here is the example for the final time. This person was doing a slightly different topic, so whenever you see Time Chaser, you're thinking about your Superfizz graphic. But you can see the level of detail they've gone into for their various different tools. And if you make this video full screen, you'll probably be able to read through their work and use that to help yours out. So again, pause the video at this point. This is the final activity for this lesson. So you've got 40 minutes or so to create a really outstanding piece of work like the one you're seeing on your screen. So a fairly short video lesson today, but lots of time for you to be working on activities. The point of this lesson was to really reflect on the different tools that you might have utilised, whether you're using Photoshop, Photopea, or something different. Within your GCSE for iMedia, you need to be able to talk about around 10 different tools, and if you've completed this lesson well today, you're well on the way to getting good marks on a GCSE piece of coursework. So hopefully you're now able to name and outline a number of key image editing tools, and that you've got those saved within your book. As always, if you've struggled with any elements of this lesson, please do go back and have another watch. If you're still struggling, either post a comment in the comments section below or directly onto Google Classroom. Thank you very much for watching.